Hey everyone. It's Thursday, um, and it's April 2nd, in case some of you are losing track of the days, like I kind of have. Even though this is kind of my normal lifestyle and I'm doing this, my life hasn't really changed all that much. Um, I'm still finding that I'm losing track of the days, which is not something I expected. It's a little different. But it's okay, we all find our methods and stuff. Um, so today I went out and I did stuff in the garden, which was awesome. Um, I took some time to clear out my walking Egyptian walking onion bed. And Egyptian walking onions are these things. They're marvelous, okay? They're like they're a type of onion, okay? And they have a little bulb at the bottom, which gets fairly large. It gets about the size of a small onion that you would get from the store. So, like a little smaller than your fist, but I mean, sizable. That tastes just like an onion. It's an onion, okay? A big green stalk comes out of it. And if you cut them back at this time of the year or through like most of April and maybe a little bit into May, you can use the green parts just like you would use a green onion. Um, they have the same kind of flavor. It's a mild oniony flavor. They're great in potato salads and they're great anywhere you would use green onions. And they're nice and tender and delicious. So I use them in the spring a lot. And then come around August or so, they shoot up these big, huge, fat green stalks that are really thick. And at the top, they make this big bundle that looks like, you know how garlic is all like this? A head of garlic is all the bulbs all stick together and make this little like thing like this. It's like an exploded garlic. So instead of being like this, it's like this. It makes this inside out garlic thing. So there's all these tiny little bulbs about the size of a garlic clove. And you can use those the same way you use garlic. They have a flavor that's kind of reminiscent of a very mild onion mixed with a very mild garlic flavor. It's and when I say mild, it's extremely mild. Um, and so you can use them the same way. They go through a garlic press the same way that you would put a garlic piece through, so they work fine. When that stalk it's fairly woody, and you can take that dehydrated or just let it dry and use it. I discovered you can use it like you use um God, my brain is just gone. um the little leaves that you stick into stews and soups. Oh my God, they're laurels. I, oh Lord, I'm so sorry. Anyway, um you put them in dry and you pull them out again afterward. Well, you can do the same thing with this, but it leaves kind of an oniony background flavor without putting any onion in, which is kind of nice sometimes if you're doing a soup and you have somebody who doesn't mind the flavor but gets grossed out by the texture of onions. I have a kid that's like that. So, um, but when these bulb things at the top get heavy enough and mature enough, they start to put off more green shoots. You can eat those the same way you eat chives, but eventually it gets heavy enough and it falls over and all those green shoots dig down into the earth and it replants itself. And so that's it. It's walking because it grows up, it falls over, it grows up, it falls over. And every year they come up. They are perennial. And I'll tell you 3 years ago, I planted exactly 3 bulbs. That was it. Just 3 of these tiny little garlic clove bulbs in a great big tractor tire that I use as a raised bed. 2 years ago, it was beautiful. I mean, I had all these because, 3 plants fall over, and each of those bulbs has, like, I don't know, somewhere between 12 and 20 cloves in it, and so those I just sort of spread around, and they took off. And then last year, it was a little overwhelming. If any of you have ever read Day of the Triffids, yeah, it was kinda like that, less walking, but still a little on the terrifying side. Um, and they do make that clacking noise when they dry. It's kinda scary. Um, but it really was kind of the plant that took over, and you have to be careful not to let them out of whatever you plant them in, okay? If they fall on your grass, they will take over. They really do. They're very prolific. Anyway, I went out today and I went through and I pulled up all the loose ones and threw them in the wheelbarrow and cleared out all the leaves and all the weeds and all the leftover little bits that I didn't get last year the end of the um before the snow flew. And I took some of those bulbs and I replanted them to evenly space it out. And some of the bigger ones, they clump up. So you need to kind of like pull them up and pull them apart and stick them back in the dirt. And honestly, it doesn't matter what you do to these things. They just persist. They never give up. They're terrifying. Um, so I decided to just replant them all for now. And in the fall, I'll actually harvest some of those bigger ones as onions, and I will just dry them the way that I normally dry onions, which is you bring them out, you leave them laying out in the sun on the pavement or on a piece of board or whatever for 3 or 4 days, and they get that nice filmy outer skin, and that's what keeps them fresh for a long time, and then they can be stored in a bin, just like you store regular onions in a bin. Um, anyway, I did that, and I still had tons and tons of these little bulbs and clusters of bulbs, so many of them. So I used some dirt from one of my other beds that I haven't um, fixed up in a while, and it needs more dirt anyway. And I filled up a bunch of little containers and I took tons of the bulbs and I separated them out amongst the like 12 or so containers I had there. So if you happen to live in the Jaffrey Ringe area and you would like to arrange with me to get your own walking onions, you can come and get as many as you would like. I do caution you not to get more than one container full and maybe not even that much, but, it's your yard. If you want your whole yard to be oniony, I'm all for it. But they are free for the taking. I'm not going to, cut them up and use them unless nobody wants them, in which case, in another week or so, I will probably do just that. I'll start using them. But for now, they are available. What I want is if you want them, um, either page me on Facebook or email me or call me if you have my number. And then you can, excuse me, arrange for a time. And that way I make sure nobody's showing up at the same time so we can maintain our social distance. And I'll actually put a container at the end of the driveway and you can come and help yourself and take as many as you like. Um, But it felt so good. I have dirt under my fingernails, and even though it was really raw out and it was kinda sort of spitting a little bit, my grandson ran up and down the driveway, hooting and hollering and getting his energy out, and it was just a good time. It felt good. I raked up a bunch of leaves. I'm not doing a ton, but I'm doing a little bit frequently. And yes, as Heather says in the chat there, nature is so healing, and it is. There are actually a lot of studies out there showing that getting dirt in your hands is a natural form of mild antidepressant. This is not to say that it replaces medicine if you need to take medicine. Please don't feel shamed. At times I have indeed, and I take anti anxiety meds, and I'm not ashamed of that either. Sometimes we need chemical help. But if you're mildly depressed or you're having depression because of the virus and the way it's changed your life, that's situational. Getting out and gardening will help you in multiple ways. Um, anyway, I have several more beds to go and I'm just going to putter with them. It's early enough in the year that I'm not in a rush to get them done. I'm just going to enjoy being outside anytime it's not raining, get my steps in and get some fresh air. And other than the fact that my allergies are trying to kill me, it's nice. I totally gave up on lunch. I did not do any fancy lunch today. Today I made pizza tots for the kids and the adults alike. I just dumped them on a tray and heat them up and let them eat them. I feel mildly guilty about that because I usually try and cook good food, but you know what? I was just really done and I didn't want to deal with it, so I didn't. And now I'm feeling relaxed. I'm about to go take a shower and I'm going to get all nice and warm, which is good because it's really chilly in my room. It's only 60 in here right now. And yeah. Oh, okay. So, stock and trade of writers in particular are stories. We are storytellers, right? And so today, uh, and my teenage kid has been on Instagram and Facebook and stuff, and she saw the recipe that's been going around for whipped coffee, and she wanted to give it a try. And I was like, "Hey, let's do that." And she said, "I would make it for you, but it's got milk in it." And I went, "No, the coffee itself is instant coffee, sugar, and water, hot water, and you whip it." Um, I said, "I can do that because I can't do dairy. Dairy makes me really, really sick. Any kind of dairy, by the way. It's not just lactose, which sucks." Um, so I said, "Just put it in coconut, not coconut, almond milk, which I use for cooking with, and I occasionally use on cereal, and I can do it that way." So she did. She made it, and she put it in, and she was using a whisk, and she was hand whisking it, and she was working at it and working. And she finally comes through, and she says, "I can't do this as well as you do." I was like, "Oh, no problem." And I take it, and I mean, I've been doing this for years, longer than she's been alive. I popped it in my lap, and I went, and she's watching it go from being this kind of liquid to being very frothy. And she's like, "Oh, is that done?" And I went, "No, it's not. It probably needs more, and my arm is sore." And then I remembered. Do you remember the old things that it's like a beater? It's got two things, and then you go chugga 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 chugga, and you make it whip. You can whip things with it. And so pulled that out and degreased it because it was on top of our pan rack and it was awful. But I gave it a good scrub, and she had never used it before, and she'd never seen it be used. So she got to use this thing, and I'm showing her how it works. She's like, "Oh my god, that's so cool!" And then she's doing it, and she got this maniacal grin on her face. This was a wonderful moment and really amazing and wonderful. I really enjoyed that. So it was good. It was good to have that kind of that moment, both a teaching moment and a loving moment. And I also got notice that my male child um, did exceptionally well in his history test today, which is a relief because he's been struggling with stuff with because he's autistic. Sometimes things like history and civics don't make a lot of sense to him. It's pointless stuff. And so it was really hard, especially at the beginning of this year. And he's just pulling out, and he's really applied himself this week, and I'm really proud of him. And I just wanted to throw that out to the world because I try to really recognize when he works hard, when anybody works hard. Um, what else do I have to check in about? I think that's it, really. Um, I'm going away tomorrow to my boyfriend's place. I'll be gone until Sunday evening, so I probably won't do a video on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but I'll be back again on Monday. And I'm trying to keep my Monday videos to writing in particular. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'll do gardening, medieval stuff, other things. Um, so those of you who just want to listen to the writing thing can just pop in on Mondays. And then if I do something in particular writing, I'll make it in the title. Anywho, I hope that you take up some gardening. If you want to do something that's a beginner thing, go for green beans, radishes, and if you want to do a fun project with your kids, get the 2-liter soda bottles. Or if you have the square, tall orange juice, like they're like waxed paper type containers, you cut the tops off so that it's just the bottom. You want to cut it off as close to the top to keep it all level. Fill it with dirt and then plant 4 carrot seeds in that. And you'll get straight carrots, and you'll be able to watch them, and a lot of times you can see the roots and stuff as it goes down, and you'll be able to watch. So that's a fun thing to do with kids. You put it in a sunny window, it'll grow. They don't need to be germinated by bees or anything, so they'll grow even indoors. And it's a little something, and then you have something to eat one day when they get big enough. There you go. Little gardening tip for the day. Hope you guys have a great weekend. And I might see you tomorrow, but I'm guessing I probably won't. The grandson will be gone, and then I'll be rushing around getting ready to go. So you guys have yourselves a great weekend. Get outside. Okay. I know it's raining right now. I can hear it on my roof, but it's not going to be raining this weekend. Sunday is looking to be in the 50s. Even if all you do is stand out in front of your building or go in your backyard or walk to, around the block. Keep your distance from people and, nod and wave from 10 or 15 feet away. Don't cough on people, all that stuff. But get outside. It makes such a huge difference. Get some fresh air, get moving, and feel a little better about yourself. It's hard, but we can make through this, okay? And if you're struggling, don't beat yourself up. Eat the chocolate, drink the rum and coke, put your feet up, go binge something on Netflix. I love you guys, and I'll see you next week.